early morning video. Some days it's like that. Some days I'm just like, just gotta say some stuff. And so in recent times I've been speaking about, the gurus, and decrying the vast majority of them for being fake and just not real and just repeating stuff. And so in my 14 years, down all the rabbit holes, spending hundreds of thousands of hours on YouTube, I've seen them all, I've come upon them all that's out there in any case. And there is only a very few that spring to mind as being authentic and worthwhile listening to, for reasons I'll explain. So we have the notorious Alan Watts, and I've listened to hundreds of his videos and I've read his biography, and so I understand him on some level, where he came from, what he's about, and he was a self-proclaimed failed human, the same as we all are, with his sexual addiction and his incessant smoking and drinking. And flitting around. He started as a Christian minister, some of you may know. That didn't fare up too well because he had his own ideas. He was always putting his own ideas into his sermons, and the church didn't tolerate that. They said, no, you have God's ideas, what's in the Bible. And Alan Watts says, well, I'm walking then, I can't be constrained like this, I've got things to say about this stuff. And so as far as I can see, he was authentic, and I like that. I like to see a person's flaws, and I like to see a person embrace their flaws, so he was good at that. Then Osho, he was most certainly a no-nonsense guru, and he had his idiosyncrasies, of course. He used to have hundreds of watches with all diamonds in and gold in. He just loved those trinkets, and then he had like 92 Rolls Royces. He loved his Rolls Royces. They were donated to him, and people would say that, it's all about money, and when you get to a certain state like that, you attract all different sorts of people. Of course, you're going to attract the wealthy as well as the poor, and so the wealthy wanted to give, and so I think they consider that they're gathering up treasures in heaven if they are giving into some sort of organisation like that. Then Krishnamurti. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Krishnamurti, but albeit he was a very high intellect, listening to his conversations, he never actually said anything. I've listened to hundreds, because he's got this guru thing about him, and you think, you're all sitting on the edge of your seat, you're waiting for him to drop the big one, but he never ever did. In all the years I listened to him, he never dropped the big one. He was just sitting there, staring, most of the time, completely disappointed with his audience, asking questions like, are you asleep? Do you want to watch a video? And all these sort of things. Well, come on then, rise up, wake up, all these sort of things. And everyone's like, you're sitting at the feet of a guru. It's got to be immensely tedious. But people like that, they never rattle any cages. They're just on a level planing, and that's always disappointing to me. I'm like, fucking rattle the fucking motherfuckers' cages, start jousting with them, get a reaction. And so then we look at Mooji. This dude comes from Brixham in London, and I think he was born in Jamaica. I spent a couple of years there. you know, this self-made guru, and he lives in Portugal now, and he has these satsangs which he charges £2,000 a weekend for. And you know, again, I've listened and I've listened and I've listened, and you know, he speaks about 5 lines a minute and answers very mundane, stupid questions, and I'm like, how can you tolerate this from the idiot? You know, how can you even have a conscience? You know, that you're actually doing anything for these people paying all that money. You're never going to penetrate them. They're fools. And then you've got the notorious Sadhguru, who he's got his $1 million worth of silk and all his robes and his turban and if you feel unhappy, be happy, isn't it? You know, okay, that's enough now. Okay, you can stop now. No. And then one of the viewers points out that he was a sellout because he was promoting squirty shit. Anybody in the world that's done that, who's proclaimed to be intelligent, is a fake and a fraud and need to be discounted. Because they're bordering evil. And then sometimes you'll see photos of Sadhguru with his jeans and his Nike trainers on, his Ray-Ban sunglasses, driving his Rolls Royce. Come on. Guru, Eastern Guru, on telly, on fucking telly. So yeah, not got the time of day for him. Eckhart Tolle seems, you know, genuine, humble dude. I believe his story, and I like his message, and his delivery is pathetic. He's pathetic. How disappointing for parents to pop something like that out. He's kind of like, oh man, you know, praise the Lord that, you know, he had his spiritual awakening, because otherwise he would have just been everybody's batty boy, and they would have just been passing him around, you know, at parties, you know. Oh my God. And then people might say, oh, I like Sadhguru, or I like, you know, Mooji, or any of the, whatever. You like it what you want, you know, at the end of the day. I'm just stating things as facts as far as I can see. With myself, let's go on to the Awakened Brave now. Who the fuck is this dude? Well, he's some dude that, you know, has got a lot to say for himself. He's had a lot of experience, and he's read all that stuff, the same stuff that the other gurus have read. Only he's got no adherence to any of it in particular. Takes a little bit from here and a little bit from there. Primarily some sort of, like, you know, psychonautic sort of, you know, dude that's had experiences with supernatural beings and this, that and the other, which is a whole lot more than any of them ever have. I've listened to Mooji's story of his enlightenment. One day he's just walking in the countryside, and then all of a sudden he went still, and he had this feeling, and it was wonderful. And yeah, I've had a dozen of those. Take DMT, you get them every day. You know, to be fair, people. And so, you know, when people say, oh, that's cheating, that's, you know, no, DMT is just your instant portal into guru land. It really is. It gives you what some people get in 10 years of meditation. You get it in an instant, every single time, DMT. Or maybe, you know, things like mescaline or acid or whatever, mushrooms, you know, all these sort of things. They give you very mystical experiences, and they cannot be discounted as not real and not spiritual. They're just easier, to be fair. But I do the meditation as well. Every single day of the past 14 years I meditate, averagely 2 hours a day. And so, you know, taking all this stuff on board. But the thing is about the Awakened Brave is that, you know, he mixes a lot of stuff in. He mixes in human psychology, which none of the others do. He speaks about his own experience, which nobody else has ever done, except maybe Alan Watts a little bit. Nobody does it. What are they? Terrified, petrified of revealing themselves, of being vulnerable, talking about all this spiritual shit, and they never say a fucking word about themselves. When did they fall off the wagon? When did they, get angry? When did they throw a plant pot on the wall? I want to hear that sort of stuff. That's what makes a person real. And with me, you hear it all and you see it all, don't you? And that's why, some viewers, appreciate that, like that, and you hang around. And so I speak about my personal experience. And some people come on the channel and go, oh, he's speaking about himself. Well, I'm the only fucker that I know anything about. That's why I'm speaking about myself. And everybody should be speaking about themselves instead of reading from books 2,000 fucking years old that they don't have any veracity or efficacy, or they've got no personal experience in, except maybe a little bit of meditation. No. And, like what I'm reading now, I read Parmenides, and I'll, read, Heraclitus, and then I read Nietzsche, and then I read Wittgenstein, and many, many people. And I'm getting their perspective of how they saw the world and how they felt about it. Schopenhauer, there's just so many to reel off how they saw the world from an individuated perspective, and then you'll see the idiosyncrasies in them. You'll see their possible failings as perfect human beings, and all different sorts of stuff. And like Spinoza, many philosophers speak about Spinoza's God. That's kind of like my God. It's no particular God, it's the God. Some essence of the cosmos. And but what I'm always doing is, because the last thing I ever want is to have a following whereby they think I am a guru. I'm not a guru. I'm nobody's guru. And most certainly I'm not going to ever tell you anything which you consider to be dependable, because I'm always going to, like Shiva, you could say I'm a modern day version of Shiva. I'm going to build up and I'm going to destroy, and very often I do this in the same video, and that puts people, out of sorts and gets them on the back foot. Exactly, that's where I want you to be, on your back foot. Always ready to leg it, and don't ever consider that I'm going to give you everything that you need, because I'm not. In actual fact, most of the times I'm going to be taking stuff away that you have come to cherish, because I'm just going to be telling you it's not real, it's fake, it's phony. And that's my true experience of this world. It's all fake and phony. It's all Maya. And when you look into the real definition of Maya, it's not like it's not here. It's just that it's not here like we think it's here. And so we have to have a deep understanding of these concepts and how it is. And when we look at what it is to be a human being, there's nothing here which constitutes a human being individually. You can take everything away, but there's some sort of a consciousness and an energy which sort of percolates into this thing, and we think, oh, that's real. It's not real. It's not real. Nothing's dependable, and it's just all an illusion. It's just an apparition. The human being is an apparition, people. And we build a world which is like an apparition out of our language and concepts. And so what I'm always doing, I'm always kind of like building a boat for us all to sail off onto the sunset with. But then, no sooner as we set sail, I'm starting to smash a hole in the hull. So we start to founder, and all the viewers are like, what are you fucking doing? We're all sinking now, and I'm like, well, you guys come and fucking patch it up then. Don't leave it all to me. Why are you always leaving it all to me? Why do you think I've got all the solutions? I've not got all the solutions. Sometimes I'll do, good stuff, and sometimes I'll do evil. And so, okay, I've just started to screw a hole in the hull. Now all the water's coming through. What are you going to do about it? You take the fucking helm. You stop, putting something. You say, I'm giving it to you. And what do you make of it? What's your stories? What's your reality? That's what I'm always doing. And then when, I'm talking about this yesterday, one finger is pointed at someone else, but 3 are pointing back at us. So every time we point the finger, we've got to realise we've got 3 times the work that they've got. That's the reality of it, people. When we're talking about ego and this person's this and that person's that, fucking hell, well, let's look at what you've got. And that's what I do. I just hold up a mirror. I go, there's a mirror, there's you. There's you, have a fucking look at that. Don't be always, looking at me and, all these sort of things. I'm just saying I'm just a reflection of you. I'm a reflection of everybody. We're all a reflection of everybody. And so, I'm always rattling cages. I'm always intentionally setting out to upset people. And I'm always really bigging up my ego because that's the easiest way to affect anybody. And to get them onto the back foot, to make them cautious, so they don't, throw all their eggs in one basket. You'll be holding some back when you watch my videos, because you never know when I'm going to smash your eggs. I'm going to stamp all over them. Anything that you think's sacred, I'm just going to go fucking where? Sacred what? What are you talking about? It's just Maya, people. And then when you look at the gurus that are earning money, as soon as money comes into it, then they have to be oh so careful, and they can't upset anybody ever again. And they're not real, are they then? If you can't say really what you want, then they're not real. And the closest I've ever seen anybody other than Osho was Krishnamurti, when he'd just go like that. Are you bored? Do you want to watch a video? Okay. And then he'd start reading a few lines and looking for a response, and there wasn't any. Oh, do pay attention. Do pay attention. And I'm like, just fucking give it to him, Krishnamurti. Just fucking give it to him. They're never ever going to wake up. You know that. 1 in 10,000 is going to get it. So anyway, a little bit of what I'm about, if you don't know already. Of course, let's just say, look, there's been 220 new subscribers in the last 28 days. So that's a lot of new faces on the channel. And so just starting to, pave the way for you people, so, you know what to expect. And somebody pointed me on to some sort of dude a bit like me. Out in the bushes with all his fucking beard, and now he looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I'd give you his name, but I don't think it's really worth it, really. And I listened, to a handful of videos, and I'm waiting for the punchline. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Maybe because my information is too deep, but he's got a lot of followers, and he's got a lot of engagement. Oh yeah, this, that, but he's not saying anything. But that's what the public like. You can't tell them anything too deep. You can't tell them anything too profound. You've just got to make very, very gentle observations about friends and family, and their idiosyncrasies. And if they think this, and if they don't get you on that, and oh yeah, I've got somebody like that, they don't get me. Oh, I like this, but it's like, oh my God, really? But not to discount this dude, there's a few bits in there which is like, okay, so it's kind of like if he's selling a bushel of cherries, I'd pick, half a dozen out and go, you can keep the rest. They're all mouldy or something like that. It's just a few they're cherry picking, you see. But, oh, good God, there's all sorts out there, isn't there? And how many YouTubers are so insincere, so insecure, and so protective of their little thing. They've got to do everything to protect it. And of course, when they do that out of fear, then they are cutting every time they burp or fart, every time they pause for 1.5 seconds, because they're terrified that subscribers will get bored and they'll go somewhere else. And you're living in fear every fucking day of your lives, you idiots. You sell out fools. just because it's paying your fucking rent, you're sold out. No, I go, no, 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 no. I'm looking for real, and that's why I want to keep it real. And I show you all of my dispositions, and the reason why I do this is because over time, the only people that are going to be sticking around are the ones which will never ever be offended with anything I say, and those are the ones potentially that could be friends. We could meet up and we could spend, you know, half a day together, and you know what to expect. I'm never going to say anything which is going to affront you, because you've seen and heard it all before. And so I'm filtering. My channel's a filter, and it's also therapy. So let me just finish up on the filter thing. I'm always presenting things to you to see if I can upset you, to see if I can stick you with a thorn in a tender part, you know, of your childhood, of your personal development, of what you think you know, what you hold dear, what is precious to you. I'm going to be taking all that away, or I'm going to be attempting to see how dearly you want to hold on to your illusion. You see, and by the time you've listened to me, then you'll be thinking, well, yeah, you know, there's a lot of stuff here that are good take-homes for me, but then, oh, he got me with this one, and he got me with that one. And, you know, I'll speak about all different sorts of people, all different sorts of varieties of people, with personal attributes and things like that. Nothing personal per se, but in general, personal sort of things. And then people will look at themselves and they'll think, well, I'm one of those, he's getting at me. I'm not getting at you, but if you want me to get at you, then that's your prerogative, you see. And that's the thing. You know, I'm not saying anything personal to anybody, because I don't know who the vast majority of you are. And when I reply to your text, I'm just replying to text. I'm just replying to a bot, as far as I'm concerned. And if anybody doesn't put the real name on the face up and don't let them be known to me, then I've got no respect for that, and I don't treat you with any respect. I just fucking write shit down what I want to in response to what the text is there, which could be misinterpreted in a million ways, because it's very, very difficult to convey really what we want to say in text, isn't it? And so that's why I've always said, well, for fuck's sake, just come and talk. Just fucking talk. What's the big deal? We'll all be dead fucking soon enough, and nobody ever remember us. You know, it's not fucking real in any case, to be fair. You know, Maya. It's just Maya. So you start to get involved in psychology. You get involved in philosophy, you get involved with spirituality, and then you're looking for truth, and nobody ever finds it. It's not there. There's just no fucking truth, and so don't get hung up about it. Just, you know, have this human experience, knowing that the only thing going on is that there's an awareness behind the facade. And that awareness is the only thing that's real. It's the only thing that's happening here. It's the only show in town. And it's genius, whatever it is, however it does it. But it's kind of like there is a thing, you know, we could call it God, and, you know, it's ever pervasive, and it's non-material, it's conscious, and it's highly intelligent. And it gathers, it's a bit like, let's say, a quantum computer. It gathers all the information that is fed into it. And what are we doing? Every single living thing on this planet is doing something which is a little bit unusual. And so whatever it is learning from that. Picture a gazillion blades of grass growing in all different sorts of ways. Well, by the time all that information has been gathered by a quantum computer, well, there's a good idea about, you know, grass in its billion facets, yeah. And so then when we look at all different sorts of animals and the human being, all the things we're doing, inventing, and, you know, between us all, when you look at the human being, you know, it's been billions and billions and trillions of us, and, you know, how far have we come in 1.5 million years? You know, good God, it's kind of like we're really, really stupid as beings, because it's took all these trillions of human beings, supposedly with brilliant brains, just to manage to build societies like we have now, which are failing on so many fronts. Really, is that intelligent? I don't think it's intelligent, you know. No more than a colony of ants, to be fair. I mean, probably less than ants. I think ants probably have a more idea where they're going, and they're better structured, less complex and complicated. But you know, such is the nature of the human being, and you know, so we make of it what we will, each individuated experience. And so my sort of self-therapy, you know, having a YouTube channel, if you are speaking, if you just turn on the camera and you speak and you don't edit, then you'll say all sorts of things. In time, you'll say everything, basically, from your heart. And doing this now for the past at least 10 years, with thousands and thousands of videos, I've said it all. And so anybody that's watched me for a long time has got a good idea of what I'm like. And they can see that, you know, I've got no pretenses, I'm genuine, I'm a human being, as much as a human being can be. And, you know, I've got my flaws and idiosyncrasies, and I accept them, and I realise them. I'm not deluding myself here. You know, I know what's going on here. Whenever my ego comes out, well, that's supercilious. You know, that is, could say it's not my shadow. It's an alter ego. If it's my shadow, I deny it, but I don't deny it. I don't deny any stuff in here. Just shine a light on it and bring it out, and that way, you see, it gets exposure, and it presents a vulnerability, because then you can say, oh, your ego, oh, he doesn't know this and he thinks he knows that, and all that. And so that's what Supercilious does for me, because it enables me to see what all of you think, you know, and how brave you are, and how hateful you are, and you know, how accepting you are, and how forgiving you are. I see all this by showing you all different sorts of facets of what I am, to get a response from you. So what am I doing, really, ultimately? I am creating my own therapeutic counselling. You know, for many, many years I've always wanted to have one of these really cool psychoanalysts like you see on the telly, you know. In America, the great Freudian psychologist who just listens and then, you know, within a few minutes comes with all the answers, which is completely bullshit, by the way. But I've wanted someone to listen intently to me, to be able to work me out, and to come back with some stuff, and I'd contemplate that, and you know, bits I agreed on, I'd go, wow, yeah, okay, I agree on that. But then, there's some other bits, they got me, I've got to think about them. Yeah, I want to be able to think. I need to be able to think. And so when I present stuff to you and stuff comes back, then I can think about that. And I go, is there anything new there? Is there anything I've missed? You know, same old, you think you're this, or, you know, there's other people that are wise out there, and this, that, and the other. You see, well, what I do then, I go, well, fucking show me. Who? You fucking tell me who. And then, you know, you'll send me a link. Well, this one's better than you, this one said the same thing as you. Or maybe you just go, hey, Aaron, you know, have you seen this dude? And so I get things from you which I wouldn't normally get, you see. That's what I'm doing, because for years of me doing this, it's been very, very difficult to extract anything out of the vast majority of you. And so what I've discovered is that if I rattle your cages, if I marginally upset you, or, you know, get you on your back foot, then you are much more liable to come forward out from under your stone. And then I go, and some people say, I've been watching your videos for 7 years, how dare you say I'm this? And I'm like, I've never said you are anything per se, I've just said it. And if you want to take it on board, it's very revealing, isn't it, when people take things personally. If you take anything personally, what I say, well, you've not got a good handle on your own psychology. And the thing is, the difficulty is if people start to consider me as a guru, then they get on a personal relationship when you don't have a personal relationship with me, do you? If I don't know you, if we haven't spoken on a regular basis, and consider ourselves sort of like, you know, friends, internet friends, if we haven't had that, then I don't know, you know, you may think you know me. And that's the thing, you see, many people, they have this assumption that I know you because you've watched me, you know, hundreds of videos, and you feel as if you know me so well, and then you forget that I haven't got a fucking clue who you are, because you don't even put your face or your fucking name up. And so, you know, we have to wake up to all this stuff. And so when I'm speaking, I'm just speaking to a camera. I'm basically speaking to myself. And then, you know, a few of you, you know, put something down, and sometimes it's very interesting. And it's kind of like the odd time when things are really interesting. I didn't know that, I wasn't aware of that. Oh, that's a good point. I like it, I like it, I like it. So it comes back to me. So it's the therapist giving me a little bit of something to think about. So what are you guys? You're my therapist. That's what I've created. I've created my own counselling channel. And, you know, if I want more response, then it doesn't matter how profound I may be in my discourses. Invariably, with the greatest of profundity, I'll get the least comments, which is reasonable because nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Or feel it's too difficult to express if you didn't know what I'm speaking about. So therefore, you know, I'll come at you from other angles, and in my frustration, which is another one of my alter egos, I'll go, well, I'll tell you what then, if you've got nothing to say about that great fucking awakened brain wisdom, and, you know, none of you want to share because you're shrinking violet motherfuckers, then I'll give you this, and I'll give you that. And then all of a sudden I've got you because like, oh, you're this and you're that. And I went, yeah, that's it, that's right, yeah, tell me more, tell me more. Oh, so you are awake then? You come out from your stone, have you, for a fucking hour or two? Go on, fuck off back on your stone then now you said that. You know, this is how it is, people. And so we have to look very, very deep at what's going on here. And those of you that watch channels, you'll see a great difference between me and all of the others, every single one of them, because they don't give you this, they don't give you this revelation, they don't present to you a variety of vulnerability. They will never tell you anything about themselves, they won't tell you where they live, or they won't tell you about their childhood or what their thoughts are, you know, nothing like that, no. Far too terrified for all that. But I've told you all about my childhood, I've told you about many, many things, all the poignant and prominent things in my life I've spoken about on this channel. And, you know, write about in my book, telling people how I was completely out of control, super egotistical. You think this is ego? Oh man, you should have met me fucking 20 years ago when I was conquering the world. Man, I was unstoppable. I was like Muhammad Ali on fucking speed, man. Yeah. But, you know, just like Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. You see, he was Cassius Clay before the Muslims got hold of him. And then, of course, it was Muhammad Ali, both Muslim names. And it's kind of like, you know, the Muslims got hold of Mike Tyson as well, didn't they? For a time being, for a while. You see, black people are very vulnerable to Muslims because the blacks feel marginalised, particularly in America, and they don't feel as if they are appreciated or respected, and so the Muslims come for them, and they tell them that, you know, Muhammad was black, and, you know, the pharaohs were all black, and then it builds them up. But what do? They just extract your energy, the money and everything like that, bled Mike Tyson fucking dry, perverted Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay's vision, and then he started talking about the white man, the white man, the white man. It was the white man that gave him everything he had, you know. But that's other stories, you know, looking into the heart of people. But Muhammad Ali, you know, at heart, I do believe he was a beautiful person. And his daughter said that he never met a mirror that he didn't like. And I thought that was a great comment. The vanity of Cassius Clay. Never met a mirror that he didn't like. I'm not bashful about it. He was a very fucking handsome man. He was charismatic, he was intelligent, he was brilliant on every level. Cassius Clay, absolutely brilliant. So, you know, you got to give it to them. And then when they become super larger than life, well, they're just playing a caricature. It sells, doesn't it? When people adopt caricatures, it sells. So the other day, someone sent me something about Lindsay Lohan, and I'm like, well, I've seen her once, I think, you know, on a Jonathan Ross show, and I was pretty stimulated by it, to be fair, so that's the only reason I remembered her. I don't know anything about her being an actor or singer. I don't know what the fuck she is, but you know, just watching a few videos how she was you know, got wrapped up in drugs and alcohol and partying and you know, all different sorts of stuff bordering on, you know, the criminal. Speak of, like, you know, abduction or what's the other word? Yeah, something like abduction anyway. Kidnapping, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, wild. But yeah, then I'm like, that's cool. I think I would have liked to have been her girlfriend. You know, someone that's wild and unpredictable and, you know, just feeling the world around them. Yeah, it's great. That's the spice of life. And so, you know, I've done all that sort of stuff in my life, people. So now, where am I now? Well, what am I doing now? I'm still, you know, consulting my therapist, seeing what feedback I can get. And it's kind of like, well, when I look at myself and, you know, I've put everything out there, I get very, very little resentment and discontentment, and 90% of that comes from the Christians, of course, who are supposed to be the most forgiving and endearing and non-judgmental, but of course it's the polar opposite. They are the devil incarnate, and they're all the ones that want to spit venom and hate. If ever I've had any hate on this channel, it's from Christians, by the way. And so you go figure, don't you? And then, of course, if people are vulnerable and they come on my channel and they like a few things that I'm saying, and then they'll come upon another video which destroys what I've said, they resent that. It's kind of like, you know, I thought you was a guru, I thought you was honest, I thought you was good for me, and I like you. And then when, you know, you're not feeding them, you know, the rose sip all the time, you feed them maybe some cod liver oil, and it's like, what the fuck? I was expecting rose sip. Where's my rose sip? You give me my rose sip. Otherwise, you know, you'll see my venom. And that's what happens. And so that's why I mix it all up, because I don't want anybody ever to, you know, have this dependence or allegiance with me and think that I'm their guru or, you know, I've got all the answers and all that. I tell you, I don't know anything. There's nothing to be known. Oh my God, people are looking for truth come on my channel. What a shock. It's all Maya, it's all fucking illusion. Nothing real. What is real? And all this sort of stuff. But when you come on my channel, it's a personal evolution for everybody, and that's the thing, a personal evolution. Because if you are intelligent enough, then you would realise that in actual fact this channel isn't about me. It's got nothing to do with me. It's all about you. It's all about every single one of you. Individually, as much as it's about me, because I'm getting a little bit from you, you're getting a little bit from me, and so, you know, the world keeps turning. And that's the best we can do, you know. And so when I look at other people and I think, well, they're not being sincere, they're not being vulnerable, they're just flatlining with whatever it is they're saying, and there's nothing that's going to be making me come back. I want more. I want to see some more reality. I want to see some more truth. You know, I want to see the idiosyncrasies. I want to see the personal failings. That's what I want to see. And when people bring those out, well, people kind of become a bit endearing to that sort of thing. They like that, and I know you guys, you like to see some vulnerable facets of me, as opposed to the I am a king and I am the greatest and all those sort of things. But let me just tell you, I don't know, a couple of things that I've done in my life. When I was younger, I suppose I was about 27, something like that. I went to Australia with my long-term girlfriend, and eventually to be the mother of my daughter. And before I went to Australia, I went for a year and travelled all the way around, 13,000 miles, bought a car and travelled all the way around that continent, up through the middle, and did a load of stuff. And so before I went, I decided that it'd be cool to work in the gold mines. It'd be awesome to surf on Bondi Beach. And then I want to have some sort of an experience with the Aborigines. And so I had three things. So when I went originally, a lot of travelling around. First thing I did on the bucket list was surfed on Bondi Beach. Absolutely incredible, most famous beach on the planet, Bondi Beach. And there was a surfboard hire shop, and you can hire a surfboard, for $4. And so I hired this surfboard, and I thought, thank you very much. And I just walked off with it, and I strapped it to the roof rack of my station wagon car, which we were travelling around in and sleeping in. We had a tent also, and it went with me all around Australia, and I was surfing here and there and everything. And so that was awesome. Then the gold mines. Went to the Golden Mile, they call it, which is Kalgoorlie and Coolgardie in Western Australia, and I went knocking on the doors of these mine sites. And of course these mine sites are massive, and 20 miles between the next one, this, that and the other. And so I knocked on 9 doors of these gold mines to see if I could get a job, and I was turned down every single time except the last time. Significant to notice that on the 9th time I was given the job. And how it came about was I went in, got to the relevant person. In the old days you just went knocking on doors. You had no curriculum vitae, no internet, nothing like that. You just went round, showed your face. And so I said, I'm looking for a job, and so some dude says to me, oh, come here, and he took me through a few corridors to an office, and went into this office, and there was some guy that was just writing something down, like this, like that, and the guy said, this guy's looking for work, and the one at the desk, the boss man, never even bothered looking up. He just said, you haven't got anything, and that's it. And the one with him was sort of gestured to me, sorry mate, let's go. And so I said to this dude, I said, I travelled 13,000 miles to come and work in these gold mines, and I ain't leaving till I've done it. He looks up, he looks at his co-worker and said, get him a hat. And he continued doing what he was doing. So this co-worker said, come on, let's go. Got me a hard hat, told me to come back 7 o'clock the next morning, and I started my job. And so that sort of level of determination, that sort of level of spiritualism, number 9, is the most powerful number in the cosmos. All these things have always been very apparent to me throughout my life, retrospectively looking back, because I wasn't into all this mystical spiritual stuff then. But then when I recall, through my tenacity, through my determination, through my envisioning that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to travel to the other side of the world. I'm going to surf on Bondi Beach. I'm going to work in the gold mines, and I'm going to have some sort of a relationship with the Aborigines. And so, okay, worked in the gold mines, and I worked in 3 gold mines actually after that, doing various different stuff. And then we moved around, and I was looking for other jobs, and because I've been in the building, I knew quite a lot about that. I thought, well, go into landscaping or building, all this sort of stuff. And so I got this job, which was like, helping a builder, doing all building stuff. And it just turned out that he had a contract for the refurbishment of an Aboriginal settlement 150 kilometres out into the desert. So I used to travel with him in his big fucking army troop carrier through the desert, and you know, all the potholes and over the rocks and everything, and I had all my khaki gear on and my Akubra hat, and I was fucking loving it, you know, awesome. And I'd go away and I'd you know, sleep over for 2 or 3 days at a time, and then I'd come back, you know, to my girlfriend where we were staying, and I would sleep in a caravan on this Aboriginal settlement, which had about, I don't know, I suppose, about 100 Aborigines. And they'd had government money and they've had buildings built, and they were never maintained or looked after, so this company, you know, got the contract to do the refurbishing. And so then, you know, I was actually there alone, the only white man on an Aboriginal settlement, and I started to communicate with them tentatively. Most of them, you know, they speak very, very differently. You know, they're almost primates, these Aborigines, and so, but I wanted boomerangs and didgeridoos and things called woomeras, which are kind of an extension device to throw spears. You put the spear in this woomera and then you throw the spear. So I got all this in clubs, and I got many of them which were original, which were, you know, probably a few 100 years old, been around forever, and they're all carved out of flintstone in very, very tough, hard wood, and it was incredible. And I got a beautiful collection of that, and then I learned to play the didgeridoo with the circular breathing, very difficult. So I did that. So what am I saying here? I created my own reality. I had the gumption, the determination to go and to do it, and not to take any answers other than yes, you can do this. And so I did that and a whole lot more. I did a whole lot more for 1 whole year whilst we travelled around that continent. And then I've done all that sort of thing, you know, forever in my life, when I decided one day, how old was I? I think I was 17 when I went to see a Bruce Lee movie at the cinema. And of course, you know, I've been seeing these Bruce Lee movies since I was about 10 or something. But I went to see one again with a few friends when I was 17, and I came out of that cinema and I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so then, you know, over years, I joined all different sorts of martial arts clubs and everything, and ultimately I ended up being a member of the British full contact karate team in the strongest karate on the planet, full contact Kyokushin. And so I represented my country. And that was, you know, that was cool. We used to travel abroad and enter world-class tournaments, and I'd done that. So, you know, then creating my own businesses and, you know, going to far-flung countries and just being an entrepreneur and thinking to myself, well, I'm going to buy land, I'm going to build, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I've done it all. That's why, you know, I'm a self-made man and I'm not suffering any fools. I've done many, many things in my life, and I've never took no for an answer. And, you know, I suppose one day I'll write an autobiography, no, a biography, on all this stuff and all these achievements. And I'm sure people will find it fascinating, because I've lived in many, many countries and done many, many things. And so anyway, this video's getting a bit too long now, but you know, okay, so I'm just revealing all this stuff. I'm speaking to my therapist, and my therapist is thinking about this stuff, and, you know, is there any bits in there which, you know, and so then, you know, some bits and bobs might come back, you know, and so then we all end up growing. You listen to my stories and maybe you tell me one of yours, and I go, yeah, cool, you know where I'm at, all this sort of jazz. So I think that what I'll do is here. Peeps, talk to you later.